What's up guys, it's Boondocks, and today I'm going to be talking about my new favorite build, Melee Tank Saryn. Now, I want to get this out of the way at the start. The build is not cheap. I'm of course going to be using Prime mods, which can be substituted with their originals, but there's a mandatory mod in the form of Condition Overload, which currently on PC sells for about 90 plat. Additionally, I'm using Maiming Strike in this video, thus all the sliding. And as anyone knows, Maiming Strike's pretty damn expensive. If you don't have it, don't worry, you can substitute it out. You will see a noticeable damage drop, but it's not too huge. So let's talk about playstyle. Basically, you want to make sure that you have Toxic Lash up at all times. This will increase your melee damage by 60% and cause all your melee to do toxic damage as well. Then, all you do is cast Spore on an enemy, and run in and start hitting them with your Toxic Lash. Spores will then spread to all enemies automatically thanks to the effect with Toxic Lash, and then when the enemy dies, the spores spread again. Because we're using Healing Return, every hit on an enemy will also heal you for a considerable amount, and as you can see, even as I'm taking damage, my health shoots right back up. Finally, we're going to be popping Miasma. This will apply a viral proc to all enemies in range, adding yet another status effect for Condition Overload and Healing Return, and essentially cutting enemies' health in half thanks to the effect of viral itself. Finally, Miasma also does a considerable amount of damage, which is then doubled thanks to having spores on enemies. These enemies, by the way, they're level 155 Corrupt Heavy Gunners. Anybody that's played this game and has gone up against them knows that they're pretty damn tanky. And this particular build absolutely shreds through everything. Not to mention, it's very fun. If you enjoy Melee, this is the way to go. Personally, I find this to be my new favorite build, hands down, for all content, including ESO. Let's talk about the build itself. As far as my aura is concerned, I'm using Corrosive Projection. Feel free to swap that out for something like Energy Siphon if you need it. But if you look at my build, I'm not using flow or any type of efficiency mods. The reason being, I found a pretty good workaround that helps you sustain all the energy you could possibly need. One interesting thing as well is the Handspring and Constitution. This is going to give you a ridiculous amount of knockdown recovery rate, and this is really important because every time you get knocked down, enemies are going to focus fire you and you can die. While this is a tanky build, it's not tanky enough to withstand focus fire. So what you really want to do is be able to get back up and start meleeing those status affected enemies to life gate thanks to Healing Return. As far as my tanky stats itself are concerned, I'm going to be using Steel Fiber and Vitality. Saryn Prime already has increased armor over the regular Saryn, and this pushes it to ridiculous levels. So you're not going to take all that much damage, you're going to have a lot of health, which you're now going to be life gating thanks to your Healing Return, and you're going to feel tanky as all hell. I'm going to use Stretch and Cunning Drift in order to spread my spores all that easier. Then the extra duration on Constitution is helpful along with Prime Continuity. Prime Continuity can of course be substituted with regular Continuity. And then for the damage increase, Transient Fortitude and Intensify. It's pretty straightforward and easy to do. My regular Saryn variant only uses 3 Forma instead of the 4 that I have on my Saryn Prime, and because of that I have had to sacrifice a little bit of my recovery rate as well as duration. Instead of using my Constitution, I just swapped out for a level 3 Augur Message. It's not that big of a deal, you don't really feel it, but that decrease in armor is the main thing. Instead of having 600, you now go down to 472. The other major build part of this particular build is your melee weapon itself. I prefer using the Castle War because it kind of gives you the best of both worlds in my opinion when using Maiming Strike. So the reason I'm really focusing on Castle War is it's fast and it has incredible reach. It's tied with reach with the Guando and the Orthos Prime, and then tied for fastest attack speed with the Orthos Prime. Additionally, it has a ridiculous amount of status chance base, which is really going to help you proc any extra status you want and feel a lot better. So as far as my status is concerned, I'm using Voltaic Edge Voltaic Strike and Volcanic Edge, in order to give myself radiation procs. Here you might actually want to put on viral instead, so that way you don't have to constantly have up your miasma. Finally, I'm going to be using Prime Reach, Prime Pressure Point, and Prime Fury. This is where it starts getting expensive here, outside of that Maiming Strike. Now, like I talked about in my gameplay part, your Condition Overload is a must-have. This is going to boost your damage by an insane amount. Each extra status that you have on the enemy is going to increase your damage. Finally, I'm using Healing Return. Mine's only a level 8 instead of 10, so because of that I only gain back 9 life per strike. It still feels really good, and as you saw during the gameplay part, I don't die, and that's amazing. So the last part of this build is going to be using a Super Vandal, and this is actually the energy workaround so that you don't need to have your flow or any type of energy return. So basically, by using Entropy Burst or any Syndicate mod or weapon that will return energy to you, so things like from the Red Veil for instance, whenever you get enough affinity, this will proc, restoring most of your energy. And outside of that, the Supra Vandal or the Supra itself has a pretty good status effect chance, so by tossing on some extra things like Malignant Force and High Voltage to spread corrosive damage, or you can go for viral, whatever you're looking for, to spread those long-range status effects before your spores get there, so that way you can health gate through it. Now, this build in particular isn't the one that I use on my Super Vandal, but that's because I got a pretty good Riven mod, so I actually kind of go for a split and use some crit on this, and that helps kill enemies. So in closing, guys, this build is so much fun. Like, it's very kinetic. You're constantly moving, you're getting in the face of your enemies. When you come up against those bubble guys, you bust out your Supra, shoot down the bubble, slide in, burst them. It's so much fun to play, and you don't get downed, thanks to this constant health regen, thanks to your tankiness. Because of that, coupled with the insane killing speed that this build brings to the table, I highly recommend it to anybody that can afford those key components. The main ones being your Healing Return, Condition Overload. Outside of that, getting your reach even before Prime Pressure Point is important if you can get that particular mod. Additionally, as far as your character mods itself, your frame mods itself, it's not that big of a deal. As long as you build tanky, you can pretty much do whatever you want. In all honesty, you can run this build more or less at 100% in, you know, all of your categories, and then just put on the Vitality and Steel Fiber and still feel really strong as long as you have those melee mods. Anyways, guys, until next time, like, comment, subscribe, good luck, have fun, peace.